Welcome to the next of the striking treasures, Shuto. Now, important thing about this before we do anything is to make sure the hand's correct, because if it's not correct you can end up injuring yourself. So, hand. It is not like this. You don't just hit with an open hand, loose fingers. If you do that, basically you're going to damage your hand. Got to think that the hand is made up of individual bones. There's a lot to cause damage to in there. You know, breaking opponents' hands, they can't fight. Equally, you hit with the wrong tools, you will damage yourself and then you can't fight. So, important thing, fingers together, thumb locks down and the hands at this angle. Okay, this is really important. The part that I'm hitting with is the muscle here. Whether it's Morte hitting that way or Ura, it's still with this muscle. If I come too far forwards, I can end up catching bone here and damaging myself. Alternatively, if I'm turning in with certain neck strikes, I can strike with that knuckle, but ultimately, when you begin, really want you striking with this muscle, so that you're targeting spot on each time, that when you do hit, that's what you're connecting with. Because otherwise, you can't really move on to being precise, and there's also too much chance of injuring your hand, and I'm not going to be held responsible for you injuring yourself. So we'll work on this, we'll look at the basic movements, again, you know, not being there in the first place to be hit, so that you can then apply technique. Going to look at one of the most basic techniques we use in the Bujinkan. Comes from Kion Happo. It's Ichimonji no Kamae, or Ichimonji, first one. So, both adopt Ichimonji. What we don't want is to, distance-wise, and this is important when you're training, is I don't want to be where I can actually reach pull. Too close. I believe we said this in a previous video. That to take our distance, fist, and we both step back. That's correct distance. I'd have to lean to get pull, but alternatively, pulls can't get me from that position without leaning. And if he does lean, to try and take that as fine. This is looking specifically at distancing. I know I'm digressing again, but this is important. This is core, fundamental technique. If you can't get this right, nothing else will work, and it won't. So, from here, ball punches me to the face. I don't move, I get hit. Again, core fundamental. My biggest pet hate is people that do this. Nothing works.
I might as well go home.
You might as well go home, and so should I. You know, in fact, I should go and hang myself. Or find the biggest spiked fence possible and chuck myself on it. You know, these are core things in martial arts. One is that you don't do a disservice to your opponent by punching somewhere else. A lot of people think as being uke, oh God, I've got to be hit again. No, this is my chance to practice punching. Yeah, I do my targeting and make sure that I do that right. That gets my punching practice done. You know, I don't know about other dojos, but I didn't have my students standing in rows punching for hours on end. You know, don't need to. This is punching practice. So, we both adopt the Kamai. I don't have my hand at Paul's face, because the point of this is that he's not going to try and hit me. Not at my head height, what I want. He's going to have to get around that. So that's where he's going to go, or kick for the leg.
And I'll go for his face.
Yeah. So what I do, sorry, can I just do it for the camera? So, here's my Kamai. When I want Paul to have the opening, I give him an opening to strike. This is quite subtle, but the difference is, as you can see, from here you'd be running onto my hand, which instantly can clench, and I just give him a slight window. This is quite subtle. This is looking at more practicality of Kamai. If I was to do this, it's a bit too obvious.
Yeah.
So I just give him that window so he can move. I then make my block, to open him up, which opens up the neck, in, strike.
Yep, that was a good one. Spot on.
A bit harder than it should be, really. So, do this nice and slow for the backseat people.
Cheap seats here.
Cheap seats, yeah. So I move in camo. I circle my block to open him up. This hand comes up. Now the reason for this hand coming up here is he's not going to know where this is coming. It could just come straight down and around, but ultimately it's going to come in here for the neck. And I'm driving it down with my body weight. And I'm sinking into it. So I'm moving off, blocking, striking. Now, what if I hear you say, God, I wish you were here to say what if. So, this time what's going to happen is I'm going to make my block to Paul's forearm, and this is not going to move him here, but I come in anyway. He blocks with this hand here. So I move.
Gets me the other side.
So you can see what's going on.
Kion Happo.
This is basic Kion Happo, and this is how, this is how Hanka works. For anyone that's trained much, they're really concerned about Hanka. And I am going to get on a soapbox here. Hanka for Hanka's sake is pointless, utterly pointless without your basics. I see on the web all the time people complaining about this, you know, low standards in training, and I quite agree. You know, these basics are your core fundamentals. If you can't get your Kion Happo right, and you can't punch and kick properly and block properly, then go home. Find something else to do. Take up dominoes. Chess, if you want warfare, you know, that's great. You know, you might not be too great with your body, but your mind might be sharp. Great, you know, read books, but don't do this. You know, not unless you're prepared to knuckle down and learn these basics. So, that out of the way, we'll carry on. So, pull punches. I move off. I'll do a soft block here to give the reason for the neck not coming open. I block. Oh, I'm sorry, pull block. From here, what I do is there's no point in me trying to force down. There's no point in me coming back, because as I come back, then Paul's going to come in. So, what happens?
Again.
So, punch comes in through. From here, I lift the elbow up through and then strike. It's important to see this. So, punch comes in. I come through. From here, this elbow lifts up and I strike through. So the motion is this. It's like a figure of 8.
Do this on your foot.
Right. I've got strong feet.
Got a bit of nose as well that time.
Okay, I think we'll move on from that.
Okay.
So you can see.